Part 1. Traditional Chinese Medicine, Infertility, Crazy Social Death Patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 1. Hello everyone, welcome to watch the large-scale live talent show Champion of the Line. The show carefully selected 360 contestants from all walks of life from millions of applicants, to show you the ups and downs of each profession. In the end, this show will select the champion of this talent show according to comprehensive factors such as popularity, rewards, and evaluation votes. The champion of this talent show will receive a huge reward of 1 billion soft girl coins. Presiding over the stage, Bing Bing, the brightly dressed host, was reading out the game to the camera. Above her, hundreds of huge electronic screens. Her voice fell. The hundreds of screens suddenly lit up, illuminating the entire show. Moment. Countless professional experts appeared in the live broadcast room, and their daily work was also revealed in great detail. It is worth mentioning. In order to increase the interest and traffic exposure of the show also specially excavated a lot of special professionals. For example, EOD personnel, aerial workers, funeral practitioners, and even infertility doctors. These professions themselves have a huge amount of buzz, so they quickly attract a large number of fans of the show. They have poured into the live broadcast room they are interested in, constantly posting various barrages. Haha, Niupai, it is worthy of being the 6th princess of Yangtai, and so many wonderful professional experts have been added. Great, I don't know if I'll have a chance to participate in the next season, after all, my profession is quite scarce. Upstairs, what is your profession? He is not a talent, but he is a professional master of recyclable systems. Haha, isn't it just a rag collector? I'm laughing to death, I haven't graduated yet, but I'm called a market information messenger, handing out flyers. Then I'm still a city ecological environment maintainer. Cleaner. The other side. Magic City. An old alley corner in the old town. A Chinese medicine hall that looks like it's been around for a while. The plaque reads BI's traditional Chinese medicine specializes in infertility. In the medical hall, a handsome young man was sitting in the consultation position, his eyes were a little dazed. The super high appearance is a little mismatched with his white coat. Ding dong. Hello, Mr. White Knight, your live stream is about to start. At this time, a mobile phone message tone stunned Bai Yet. Huh. He stared blankly at the prompt message on his phone. Slowed down for a while. Only then did I realize that I had crossed over, and I became the heir of this century-old Chinese medicine hall in a daze. The original body happens to be called Bai Yet, and he looks exactly like him, and he is only 23 years old. It's just that he is a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner who also specializes in infertility, and his main job is to program the hospital website system. It doesn't matter if you don't say it, you can only say that you can't beat the 8 poles. Am I chosen? Or as a dictatorship, infertility Chinese medicine is a profession and was chosen. Nima, I'm only 23 years old, I don't have a girlfriend, I don't have any experience in making people, how can I talk about childbirth? Also, Chinese medicine is broad and profound, why does the original Chinese medicine hall specialize in treating infertility? It's okay to arrange for me to treat other bruises or healthcare programs. Bai Ye came back to his senses, and he couldn't cry or laugh anymore. He has just crossed over, although he participated in the program that can win the 1 billion award, but he doesn't understand medicine at all, let alone the mysterious Chinese medicine. Think about it. Bai Ye still decided to abstain and didn't plan to participate in this talent show. He respects Chinese medicine very much, and as a scholar, he knows that all the famous Chinese medicine masters have been taught by them. If you don't understand, you don't understand, you can't fool around. And he doesn't think that just learning Chinese medicine can cure infertility, a problem for all mankind. At most, it can help patients regulate their body and mind and increase their chances of conception. After all, in modern society, the causes of infertility are more complex than in the past, and many organic lesions cannot be cured by traditional Chinese medicine. Come to think of this. Baya looked at the miniature cameras installed around him and the mobile phone live broadcast room where he could interact with netizens, sighed, and was about to announce his abstention. That's when it happened. An icy electronic sound sounded in Baya's mind. It has been detected that the host inherits a century-old traditional Chinese medicine hall and is binding a special doctor system to the host. Ding, congratulations to the host binding special doctor system, Zhengzi TCM system. Note, no matter what problems and bad habits the patient has, and no matter who is around the other party, as long as you speak up about the patient's problems, you can get a reward. Hearing the sound of this mechanical system, Baya frowned. As a traverser, you are no stranger to Goldfinger, which is really a blessing in disguise. Don't think about abstention, if there is system help. Even if he can't win the championship award, he can build his professional reputation and let him settle down in this parallel world. Therefore, the previous worries were also swept away. After all, both Chinese medicine and Western medicine have their own advantages and disadvantages in symptomatic treatment. The main Chinese medicine treatment for infertility is also easier to build his personal brand. Again, the system has to be upright. Oh, how to say it? White Knight likes this. Because he knows very well that Chinese medicine is more of a doctor than Western medicine in the treatment of diseases. When TCM consultation, it is necessary to take into account the person's spirit, emotions, preferences, etc. And Geng bluntly pointed out the bad habits of the patient's life. Even if he let the other party die, it is for his good, not to mention that there is a reward. Come to think of this. A smile rose at the corner of Baya's mouth, and he was about to say hello to the netizens in the live broadcast room. But suddenly realized a serious problem. Wait. I'm still a novice in Chinese medicine, and my knowledge of Chinese medicine is zero. A black line crossed Baya's forehead, and he didn't know anything when the system didn't come, and he didn't know anything when the system came. Isn't that a lonely system? Dog system, where's the starter pack? As the White Knight's thoughts flashed, a mechanical electronic sound sounded again. Ding, congratulations to the host for getting the newbie gift package, Supreme Pulse Technique. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 2. As the cold electronic sound of the system falls, a holy glimmer of light surged out of thin air, merging into the brains and hands of the White Knight. Suddenly, Baya felt that a huge amount of pulse knowledge suddenly appeared in his mind. For example, all kinds of pulses, floating pulses, sinking pulses, several pulses, and so on. Traditional Chinese medicine believes that the meridians in the human body are the channels for the movement of qi and blood, which are fundamental to maintaining the normal function and health of the human body. When there is a lesion in the human body, the corresponding meridians will be affected, and then different pulses will be displayed. By observing the changes in the pulse, doctors can help identify potential health problems and physical conditions of patients in a timely manner. However, due to the increasing complexity and differentiation of human diseases in modern society, it is difficult to achieve in-depth mastery of pulse medicine in 2 or 3 decades. However, here in the White Knights, there is no such problem. The God-level pulse control technique directly filled up his skill. Not only for infertility, but also for other diseases, he knows everything about it. Meanwhile, the fingers of Baya's hands also underwent subtle changes, just like the handicrafts carved by Wen Yu. At this moment, Baya only feels that no matter who he takes the pulse, he can fully grasp the other party's physical condition. To use an analogy, Baya can get the root viewing permission of the other party's body as long as he reaches out. This is equivalent to indirectly mastering the other party's living habits such as eating, drinking, housing, and transportation. It's that magical. A moment later, after receiving the newbie gift package, Baya opened his eyes, and his eyes suddenly lit up. It's a system, it's amazing. Since the pulse technique is based on the theoretical system of Chinese medicine, my current theoretical knowledge of Chinese medicine has also been perfected. In this way, Chinese medicine does have too many advantages in the diagnosis and treatment of infertility that Western medicine does not have. It happened to be at this moment. White Knight's phone also received a prompt again. The live broadcast is about to start, so please get ready. Baya looked at the information prompt, sat upright, and his face was eager to try. Meanwhile, with the official launch of the show, countless viewers have poured into various live broadcast rooms. The live broadcast room of the White Knight is no exception. Soon, many viewers entered his live broadcast room. Ouch, such a handsome little brother, he won't be an idle trainee. Traditional Chinese medicine specializes in the treatment of infertility. Is such a young Chinese medicine doctor really reliable? Could it be that this little brother is the holy son of Chinese medicine and married young? I'm laughing to death. I don't even have any hair to show infertility. I won't look at the outrageous, but this kind of super outrageous, I'm going to see it. Let's take a look at the performance of the anchor, and everyone will deeply understand the meaning of this sentence. The anchor is a personal Chinese medicine hall here. It looks very old. Maybe the anchor's only skill is to call his dad for help. Don't say it's so absolute. It seems that there are 2 times to look at the anchor's temperament, but it's just 2 times, haha. Netizens who entered the White Knight live broadcast room couldn't help but have serious doubts when they saw that the so-called Chinese medicine was such a young and handsome little fresh meat. The main reason is that Baya, a super handsome guy, is very compatible with most professions, but it seems very inconsistent to compare it with traditional Chinese medicine. After all, in everyone's cognition, the really powerful Chinese medicine practitioners are the kind of old scholars with crane hair and youthful faces. At this time, across the alley where the White Knight Chinese Medicine Hall is located, the Obstetrics and Gynecology Hospital affiliated to Moda University, the so-called integration of science, education, and research, with a large number of experts, is the first choice for locals to see infertility. A middle-aged female doctor with short black hair was looking at Baya's young and handsome face in the live broadcast room with bright eyes, looking a little disappointed. It's too young. It looks like I didn't even graduate from college. I didn't expect this show's doctor who specializes in infertility to choose such a little guy. It's so embarrassing. Dr. Lin Wanfan sighed deeply, her face full of helplessness. She is an attending physician in the Department of Fertility and an associate senior TCM physician under the tutelage of an old TCM professor at Imperial Capital Medical University. Infertility in modern society is getting worse and worse, and many people are suffering from infertility without knowing it. She heard that this show has a profession specializing in the treatment of infertility, and originally hoped that this show could promote the infertility topic so that everyone can understand the seriousness of the infertility problem. For this reason, she also invited many old experts who specialize in infertility to sign up for this show. But as a result, I didn't expect that the program team actually chose such a young man. It's still a young man studying Chinese medicine, which is equivalent to a double damage buff. Why are the doctors who specialize in infertility all elders? Because the cycle from pregnancy to childbirth is inherently long, ranging from a few months to several years. I don't have 1 or 2 decades of clinical experience, and I don't even count as a beginner. It is impossible to learn Chinese medicine well if you are too young, and it will take at least 10 years to be proficient in pulse reading. With the development of science and technology, the causes of infertility are myriad, and many complex causes are closely related to the life and work of patients. This point is difficult to determine even if the machine detection scheme of Western medicine is possible, and it may be misdiagnosed. Only a real old Chinese medicine practitioner with rich life experience can accurately diagnose the cause and symptoms. Come to think of this, Lin Wanfan has basically no hope for Bai yet. But because the hospital was renovated today, the patients were diverted, so I watched patiently when I was idle. What if this white knight is a one-of-a-kind genius of Chinese medicine? Bai's Traditional Chinese Medicine Museum. Bai Ye glanced at the various doubts in the live broadcast room, smiled faintly, and didn't care. Judging people by their appearance is the easiest to be slapped in the face, wait and see. As for questioning his professionalism, Traditional Chinese medicine is not omnipotent. If it is infertility caused by genetic problems, then Chinese and Western medicine can only help. The patients who will come to him in this corner must have had a preliminary examination. Wait a little while, and the sunspots will be able to see what he really does. Just thinking about it? Crunch, the sound of the wooden planks at the door calmed Hakia. Bai Ye looked at the door of the store and saw two figures, a man and a woman, standing at the door. The men are older, and the women look like they're in their early 20s. It seems that I am lucky. I have just bound the system, and I have just started broadcasting, so I will come to live. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Traditional Chinese Medicine, Infertility, Crazy Social Death Patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 3. Xia Tiantian is 22 years old and has been married for 2 years. I have been preparing for pregnancy for more than a year, but I still have no harvest. Her husband checked the quality of the tadpoles and found no problem. And she doesn't know what's wrong with her in the last 6 months, and she always has menstrual irregularities. Even if I went to the hospital and prescribed medication several times, I always stopped taking the medicine and started to be out of balance again within a few days. After going to several major hospitals to see infertility in a row, her husband suddenly thought of seeing a Chinese medicine doctor. Western medicine treats the symptoms, and Chinese medicine treats the root cause. Irregular menstruation also has a chance of getting pregnant, but I still haven't conceived it for more than a year. I'm afraid that there is any damage to the foundation of the body. Why don't you go to an old Chinese medicine doctor to see how to recuperate? So, Xia Tianatian's husband began to ask around about the famous old Chinese medicine hall nearby. In the end, he finally inquired about a century-old Chinese medicine hall that also specializes in infertility, Bai's Chinese Medicine Hall. Without further ado, Xia Tianatian's husband immediately took the time to bring her here when he was resting on the weekend. Look at this place, look at this plaque. At first glance, it's an old Chinese medicine hall. Looking at the store where Bai's Chinese Medicine Hall is located, Xia Tianatian's husband is happier the more he looks. Unexpectedly, the legendary old Chinese medicine doctor was found by him like this, and it seems that his daughter-in-law's problem has finally been cured. He is 35 years old, and the elders of the family are anxious to hold their little grandchildren. And what was completely different from him was that Xia Tianatian's expression became more and more panicked. The appearance of this kind of store looks really powerful Chinese medicine hall. She is not highly educated, she only knows that Chinese medicine is very popular, and as soon as the other party takes the pulse, she can find out all her bad problems clearly. If she shakes out what she smokes, drinks, stays up late and plays bananas, won't she have to suffer from the wind and rain of the family? Alas! I can't control my 13 mouths. Her husband often travels on business, and he can't find a good job with a low education, so he usually stays at home alone, always looking for some stimulation to relieve boredom. I can't control it. I also know that it is not good for the body, but it is said on the internet that it is still possible to get pregnant with irregular menstruation. After all, I'm still so young. But I didn't expect that the pregnancy was so bad, and I couldn't conceive for more than a year, and my bad problems were accumulating more and more. Xia Tiantian at this moment, she couldn't help but want to give herself two big mouths. But all that. After the two of them stepped into the door of the Bai Clan Chinese medicine pavilion and saw the young Bai Ye, two levels of reversal occurred. Xia Tianatian's husband's face changed from excitement to full of doubts. And Xia Tianatian's face changed from fear and regret to joy. At such a young age, medical skills must not be good. I'm still young, maybe I'll be pregnant next year, and my sisters are also menstrual irregularities, aren't they still pregnant with babies? Xia Tiantian thought like this, and her heart was calm. And although her husband's face was full of doubts, thinking of the sworn recommendations of those old friends, he still led his wife into it with the attitude of giving it a try. Looking at the expressions of the couple, Bai Ye instantly sensed each other's thoughts. In this regard, Bai Ye smiled disdainfully in his heart. In a while, I will let you feel the power of the supreme pulse technique. Especially when Bai Ye saw the happy look on Xia Tianatian's face, he sneered even more in his heart. Little girl, with a sick face, let's take you to explore the function of the system? The system makes me straightforward, what do you say, but I can't help you hide a little. Even if you let the society die, it's for your good. Although he thought so in his heart, Bai Ye still showed a serious smile on his face. This is your first order, to establish a good image. Hello, please sit down, if there is any problem, just say. Bai Ye said to Xia Tianatian's husband with a smile on his face. This is the husband taking his wife to see a doctor, and he asks the man first with his eyes, so that he can have an understanding of this girl who is about the same age as himself. Doctor, we're here to see, for it, here is our inspection report. Xia Tianatian's husband handed Bai Ye a stack of materials, hesitated for a moment, and still spoke. My wife has had some menstrual disorders lately, and her spirit is not particularly good, especially. As soon as Xia Tianatian's husband spoke, he couldn't stop talking, and he couldn't wait to tell Bai Ye what he ate and what he pulled yesterday. As soon as he sat down, he was still expecting something, thinking that White Knight was just a disciple or a welcome or something. When you see someone coming, you should call out to the master or something. It's a pity that this illusion was completely extinguished with the opening of the White Knight. The other party's upright appearance is obviously the doctor here. In this case, Xia Tianatian's husband is not good at saying offending things to people's faces. Then let the other party take a look at it first, in case it is unreliable, and then say something like call your adult is not too late. And the other party is also a century-old store, or recommended by a friend, I think it should be some level. At this time, the live broadcast room. It's funny, someone really comes to see infertility, and the examination report is very professional at a glance. Damn, I'm so embarrassed that I'm going to pull my toes out of the villa. Anchor, go and call your grandfather or grandpa out. It's strange, the anchor really plans to show infertility to others, won't it be a script, right? Creating people is Nuwa's technical work, the anchor is so young, what will be the Tai God needle? Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand the barrage. Pregnancy is originally a metaphysics, can't the anchor tell fortunes to others? Seeing a doctor becomes a fortune teller, ha 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 ha, you are really a group of talents. I will die of laughter in the comment area sooner or later. In Bai Ye's live broadcast room, netizens were a little stunned when they saw that Bai Ye really planned to start treatment. It's not like taking the elders on the back. Could it be that Bai Ye really knows Chinese medicine? But even if you know how to do Chinese medicine, you will be overstretched in the face of complex infertility problems, and you must be a respected old Chinese medicine doctor. Could it be that Bai Ye is the legendary son of Chinese medicine? Although there are such suspicions, it is clear that most netizens still do not believe in this possibility. Again, if you are too young, whether you are looking at infertility or traditional Chinese medicine, you can't have any level if you are too young. At this time, Baya ignored the questioning and jokes of the barrage. Anyway, he would be able to slap the public's perception in the face for a while. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 4. Baya took the inspection report of the two of them and looked at it. Basic understanding of the situation. The quality of the man's tadpoles is very good, while the woman's menstruation is irregular, but the hospital cannot detect specific problems. At most there are some physiological normal erosions at the uterine opening. And Baya also listened carefully to Xia Tianatian's husband's words, and finally summed up 3 key points from the 10-minute exchange. The woman's spirit is not good, menstrual disorders, and brain fog is also called forgetfulness. After thinking for a while, Baya still didn't come to any conclusion. After all, Xia Tiantian is so young, even if she has irregular menstruation, she still has a chance of getting pregnant. In the information of the two, the woman has the most examination items: imaging, impassible, injury, etc. The man also spent a huge amount of money to test whether their genes were rejected. The result is no problem, but it's just that the man-making movement has been going on for more than a year and almost 2 years, and I can't conceive yet. Could it be that the woman's body is really injured? Looks like you still have to use the gold finger. I know, probably. Then sit down first, and I'll take a look at the pulse. Said. Baya raised his hand and motioned for Xia Tiantian to sit on the stool opposite him, and put his hand on the pulse pillow. After Xia Tiantian sat down and put her hand on the pulse pillow, Baya slowly put her finger on the other party's wrist. Although Baya is the first time to take the pulse, his movements are skillful like a peerless old Chinese medicine doctor. It just gives people a sense of professionalism. And as Baya's fingers were on Xia Tianatian's wrist, Xia Tianatian's face suddenly flushed. She is only in her early 20s, and she is still the age of fantasy Prince Charming. Although she is married, it is okay for her husband to perform Zhou Gong's gift in bed, but she just can't substitute for her husband's face in his 30s. And Baya's handsome face, after being strengthened by the system, has fingers that are warmer than girls. In just an instant, Xia Tiantian fell into the high appearance of Baya. Is so handsome, and he can take the pulse, it's amazing. Xia Tiantian took advantage of her husband's inattention, and quietly flattered Baya. Merely. Baya didn't notice her small movements at all. Of course, even if he noticed, White Knight wouldn't pay attention to it. It will. The moment his hand was on Xia Tianatian's wrist, the supreme pulse control technique was instantly activated. After a while, there seemed to be a screen of light and shadow in front of Baya's eyes that only he could see. Presented everything Xia Tiantian has done recently in detail. It doesn't matter how many cigarettes you smoked yesterday, how much alcohol you drank, or what you did. These things were unreservedly revealed in front of the White Knight. And as Baya began to take Xia Tianatian's pulse, the cold electronic sound of the system also sounded. The host is detected and the diagnosis begins. Select diagnosis result publication method to be enabled. Option 1, get used to her. Do not disclose the patient's personal problems, and mention it vaguely, it will not help the patient's condition in any way. Reward, none. Option 2, Genji pointed out the other party's fault for her good. Point out all the bad habits and faults of the patients one by one, and tell the other party's husband, let the husband assist the other party to complete the treatment of the disease. Reward, God-level acupuncture. Note, God-level acupuncture can regulate and treat the patient's viscera, especially for the kidneys. The system tone falls. Baya's eyes immediately bloomed, and his eyes looked at Xia Tiantian as if he was looking at a treasure chest, and he could see through it at a glance. This look made Xia Tiantian shudder, and she was about to say something to ease up. However, she heard Baya speak in the next second. Don't be old YY, play with less toys. Huh. Hearing Bai Yes words, Xia Tiantian, Xia Tianation's husband, and a group of netizens in the live broadcast room were stunned. Especially Xia Tiantian, the whole person was confused. She subconsciously reached into her other hand and turned off the vibrating toy. When I first entered the store, I turned it to the lowest frequency, but was it heard by the doctor when I took the pulse? But with such a low frequency, still so far away, how did he see it? What Xia Tiantian didn't expect was that her action was seen by netizens and her husband in the live broadcast room. There was a flash of confusion in them. Xia Tianation's husband instantly lowered his face, followed by a blush. Emptying his body to serve his wife, except for menstruation, he comes back every 2 days to pay the surplus food. Actually make my wife want to be dissatisfied? Sweet, you, no wonder I walk so often. At this moment, Xia Tianation's husband's eyes seemed to be angry, but his body was like a landlord, and he couldn't wait to get into the soil. Hearing her husband's words, Xia Tiantian subconsciously shivered. No. Didn't play. Then he stammered and opened his mouth to defend himself, but this defense was not convincing. At this time, Xia Tiantian was about to cry. Does this young guy really have 2 brushes? I'm so unlucky, right? Isn't it fashionable to play with some sexy things once in a while, and it's not a great sin? Didn't play. And what's in your pocket? The body is still in the original ecology, and it is damaged if there are too many foreign bodies. Tut, look at your vein, there are a lot of YY, and you think about Xiao Xian Ro every day, right? YY is a leak, it's very draining, and it's even more expensive than sex. In the face of Xia Tianation's weak defense, Bai Ye ruthlessly exposed the other party's disguise. You know, Bai Ye is an upright Chinese medicine doctor. Whether it's for the reward, or the patient's physical health, there is no way to hide anything. And you little girl, you have so many bad habits, you are about to make yourself prematurely menopause, and you don't know what is wrong. Hearing Bai Ye's words, Xia Tiantian was stunned. This is a miracle, doctor. I even know what I think. But, divine doctor, you are too direct. Before Xia Tiantian could react, her husband took out a pink remote control from Xia Tianation's pocket with a look of disbelief. At first glance, this remote control is the kind of small props that often appear in AK media actually secretly play with such flowers. The air was silent for a few seconds. At this time, when the live broadcast room saw this scene, it was boiling. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 5. With Bai Ye's single-handed operation, the netizens in the live broadcast room suddenly boiled. Can you still see this in the pulse? Also stone-hammered? What's, how many things can you get out of the pulse? Ah. Upstairs is the opposite. Haha, beg her husband's psychological shadow area. Wait, how can someone take the pulse and see that something is stuffed inside? Yes, isn't this equivalent to me having dentures, and I can also give the anchor a pulse? Damn, do you think there is a possibility, the vibration of the woman's toy made the anchor find out? That's too accurate, I suspect the anchor is hanging. Director, I'm going to report it, I suspect they are actors from AK Media. At this time, the other side. Looking at the barrage that kept emerging in the live broadcast room, Lin Wanfen, the infertility attending physician of the obstetrics and gynecology hospital affiliated to Moda University, silently blocked the barrage. Then he frowned and looked at Bai Ye's pulse seriously. Inch mouth, close, ruler, take. The mind is calm, the breathing is steady. There's something about this young man. Looking at Bai Ye's extremely standard pulse gesture in the live broadcast room, she, the deputy senior Chinese medicine doctor, was also very surprised. As the saying goes, the layman looks at the liveliness, and the insiders look at the doorway. Just by looking at Baiye's posture of taking the pulse, she could see that this Baiye should be very good at taking the pulse. Yes, he was right. Many young people don't know the harm of YY, but they don't know that YY will cause serious leakage in the body, and their thoughts will be obscene when they are crooked. What's more, the patient's use of toys has intensified, which is equivalent to a name leak and a dark leak together. Regardless of whether you are male or female, when you are deficient, you will be sick. Lin Wanfen showed an appreciative gaze, then thought for a moment, and muttered again. However, it is still too arbitrary to conclude that infertility is infertile. That little girl is still very young, even if it rains every day, she will not be so weak that she will not get pregnant. There are many causes of infertility, many of which are still very obscure, and they are closely related to the patient's lifestyle habits. If the patient hides it, it is difficult for the doctor to deal with it. Come to think of this, Lin Wanfen gave birth to a love for talent, thinking about how to take Baiye a hand, arrange for the patient to come to her department for a comprehensive physical examination, and then introduce the patient back to Baiye. At the same time, looking at Baiye, who was proficient in pulse control at a young age, she suddenly thought of her teacher. Her teacher is Mr. Ni Guanghai, a well-known leader in the field of Chinese medicine at Imperial Capital Medical University, who is committed to promoting Chinese medicine and has the idea of discipleship. She thought, maybe Baiye's qualifications can make teacher Ni tempted. Ahem. Be quiet for a moment. Looking at the upcoming scene of the family's strong man breaking his wrist and scraping his bones to heal his wounds, Baiye couldn't help coughing to stop it. Can be regarded as saving Xia Tianatian's life. Of course, it's just for a while. There is a lot more to come, so it's best to settle it together. Doctor, look, let's see if my wife has anything else to pay attention to. Hearing the words of crying Baiye, Xia Tianatian's husband immediately reined in. With a slight pulse of the other party, he found out his wife's big problem, and this hand is worthy of the name of a century-old Chinese medicine. Sure enough, in a place like the Magic Capital, the Chinese medicine hall is crouching tiger, hidden dragon. As long as you find out the problem, it's not a big deal to lose some face yourself. Ahem, your subject has to get rid of this problem. Otherwise, the vitality will be greatly damaged, and it will be useless to take any tonics, and the void will not be replenished. In this case, even if you are pregnant with a baby, you are prone to miscarriage. It is also necessary to control YY, now it is hypocrisy, which is manifested as strong desire, which should be noted. In contrast, other bad problems can be corrected slowly. Said. Baiye began to take the pulse again, and Xia Tianatian's face became nervous. My heart was beating with a pop. No, he should have guessed just now, just when he noticed a slight tremor. No matter how divine Chinese medicine is, it is impossible for such a young little brother of the other party to be like a god. That's right, I was careless just now. Xia Tiantian comforted herself in her heart, hoping that Baiye had just met a dead mouse by a blind cat. There's no way he can know about my disgraceful habits. Speaking of which, those bad problems don't form in a day or two. My husband works during the day and often travels on business, and he only comes home once every 3 days. And I just want to have some fun in this boring life. Just drink and smoke, but I'm still a good girl. Xia Tiantian thought about it in her heart, and secretly hoped that Baiye could be merciful. It's a pity. What she didn't know was that Baiye was a paranoid upright Chinese medicine doctor, and it was impossible for her to lie whether it was for the sake of system rewards or professional ethics. Everything she has done, in front of the Supreme Pulse, is unobstructed. Just when Xia Tiantian kept comforting herself and was about to regain her confidence, White Knight spoke again. Just 2 simple sighs shattered her self-confidence. Do you like to smoke? Although he asked a question, Baiye sighed as he spoke, giving people a sense of judgment. Because if you ask about your lifestyle habits, You usually ask directly about smoking. And looking at Bai Ye's expression, it seemed that he was asking a question with an answer. The voice fell. Xia Tiantian suddenly felt her scalp tingle, sighed unconsciously, and then waved her hand. I secretly said in my heart, I obviously brushed my teeth and rinsed my mouth, is there still a smell? And her action fell in the eyes of her doubtful husband, which was equivalent to a certainty. It's just a moment. Xia Tiantian clearly felt that her husband's death gaze was projected towards her again. Her husband is more than 10 years older than her, and he spoils her in other aspects, but he is extremely strict in terms of childbirth. Looking at her husband's murderous aura that almost turned into substance, Xia Tiantian subconsciously shivered, and immediately opened her mouth to try to quibble. Say what? I, I, I'm a girl, how could I, can you smoke? Hearing Xia Tianatian's words, Bai Ye couldn't help but sneer, delusionally trying to hide his bad habits in front of his supreme pulse technique. It's really a system for decoration. It's okay to love smoking, when you shouldn't smoke and drink at the same time. It is also mixed with white wine, beer, red wine, cocktail, and cigarette stimulation, which has a great load on the liver. The liver and kidney are homologous, and if the liver is not good, the kidney is not much better. And traditional Chinese medicine says that the kidney is the main growth, development, and reproduction, and the kidney qi is weakened, and one of the external manifestations is that you have irregular menstruation, so how can you conceive a baby? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 6. Bai Ye opened his mouth lightly, saying what he had seen with the Supreme Pulse technique. To be honest, what this pulse found made Bai Ye, who had seen the world, a little surprised. Do young girls nowadays know how to take care of their bodies? Has a glamorous appearance plays so much in the mainland, or is it because he found a rich husband to spoil him, so he uses his youth as capital? Sweet, you. Now. Hearing Bai Ye's words, Xia Tianatian's husband's shame and anger value was about to be stacked. I want him to go out early and return late, and he often travels on business, and he spends all the money he earns for his wife. I don't have any other requirements for my wife, so I think that my wife is responsible for being beautiful at home, and she will teach her husband and children in the future. It's been almost 2 years since I've been stuck in the creation of people, and I thought my wife was born with a weak physique. I also wanted to find an old Chinese medicine doctor to recuperate, but I didn't expect that everything was done by my wife herself. Thinking about the high expenses in the past 2 years in order to create a man, Xia Tianatian's husband clenched his fists and almost wanted to have a seizure. It's just that the ugliness of the family can't be publicized, so let's go home and smoke the belt. Can't be spoiled. At this time, the barrage in the live broadcast room. Damn. The anchor is too godly, right? Can you still see that the other party is smoking and drinking? Who will explain and explain, what can be analyzed by looking at the pulse, isn't it just the operation of qi and blood? I suspect that the anchor is looking for a delay. I don't understand. Upstairs, the Chinese medicine doctor looks at it and asks about it. It was cut just now, but the anchor is still watching. Haha, I remember that I didn't dare to look up the whole time when I saw the old Chinese medicine doctor. The anchor just said that the kidneys are the main ones for growth, development, and reproduction. I don't read much, don't lie to me, aren't the kidneys urinary? What age is it? And some people confuse the kidneys of Chinese medicine with the kidneys of Western medicine. The patient's husband, I can't leave yet, and it's hard to find it when I'm old. Patient's husband, who understands the family, this is a sledgehammer in the crotch of his pants, and he has suffered a heavy blow. After saying Xia Tianatian's problem of smoking and drinking, Baya glanced at the system task that was not moving, and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Comrade Xia Tian, it's really not that I'm open-mouthed. It's the benevolence of the healer. The fact that the system task is not completed yet proves that you have not yet realized the seriousness of the bad habit. Then, as a Genji Chinese medicine doctor, I can only continue to say. Do you work the night shift? Baya looked at Xia Tian and asked the question again in an affirmative tone. Ah. Hearing Baya's question, Xia Tian suddenly felt cold sweat on her back. Big brother, why are you still asking? Just when Xia Tian didn't know how to speak. My wife doesn't go to work, her husband said categorically. It's just that as soon as Xia Tian's husband finished speaking, he immediately realized that something was wrong, and he found that Baya meant something else. Immediately glared at Xia Tian and questioned. Tian, when I'm not at home on a business trip, you still stay up late. Hear this. Xia Tian was about to collapse, and quickly shook her head. Huh, husband, you know me, I don't stay up late. Xia Tian could only smile awkwardly, wanting to turn the page over this question and end this consultation quickly. After all, in her cognition, as long as she doesn't sleep at night, it's not staying up late, it's called all-nighters, and there's an atmosphere to watch dramas all night. It's just that. As soon as she finished speaking, Baya directly exposed her lies. No, you haven't slept before 4 o'clock. How can this girl hide it from the doctor? Can a doctor hurt you? Are you? Just when Baya was about to speak again, Xia Tian finally couldn't hold back. Even if it dies directly, it's better than this little bit of Ling Qi. Doctor, don't you know everything, and why are you asking me so much? You can just prescribe me a little prescription, so that I can go back to recuperate and prepare for pregnancy, and ask me why I am doing so much. Hearing Xia Tian's words, Baya thought for a moment, and finally nodded in Xia Tian's pleading gaze. That'll do. Your problem is also simple, the liver fire is strong and the kidney water is not good, and at the same time, some heart and kidney are not connected. But fortunately, the foundation is good, and there is no need to prescribe medicine, correct all these bad habits, and don't have sex during the period. After about 3 months, menstruation will be normal, and then you can do the Zhougong ceremony before and after ovulation. By the way, the consultation fee is 60, just scan the code. Let's talk about it. Baya pointed to the QR code on the side, signaling that the other party could leave after paying the money. Although he didn't prescribe any medicine to see a doctor, Xia Tian's husband didn't feel that the price was expensive at all, but felt that it was quite cheap. Solved a lot of doubts in his heart, and such a powerful Chinese medicine doctor, the pulse is only 60 yuan, which is really cost-effective. You must know that his wife costs 50 a day to drink 2 cups of milk tea. Doctor, if you don't understand, just ask, does it have to be 3 months later? Xia Tian's husband asked respectfully, he really wants to have a baby soon, and it will be half a year in the blink of an eye after 3 months. Your wife is now a strong outsider and needs 100 days to build a foundation, and you happen to be able to recuperate. So it's easier to conceive after 3 months. Baya explained solemnly. Hearing this, Xia Tian's husband suddenly had a hint of enlightenment. Although he was anxious, he also knew the truth of Chinese medicine to cure the root cause. And he felt that what Baya said was very professional, which benefited him a lot. After taking a breath, he immediately said, "Thank you, doctor." After Xia Tian's husband paid, he thanked him, then took Xia Tian's hand and walked towards the door. "Don't make a big fuss, my dear, wait, go home and have a good family meeting." At the moment when they stepped out of the door, Baya shouted to Xia Tian. "Finally, I tell you that you should also quit hand addiction. When I can't control it, try to use cucumbers instead of bananas." The special shape of the banana is easy to puncture the bar balloon, and it is easy to infect the uterine orifice. If the uterine mouth is infected, the little tadpole will not be able to get by, and then your husband will do useless work. Hear the words of the White Knight. Xiatianation's body stiffened, and she gasped as if she had fallen into an abyss, and she never imagined that she was using bananas to defend herself by the doctor. And her husband's hand couldn't help but squeeze fiercely, and after remembering that his wife must buy a lot of bananas when she went to the supermarket, her face completely collapsed. We're doctors, so we have to be upright. This is the benevolence of the doctor. I believe Comrade Xia Tiantian already knows the severity of the bad problem. Watching the two go away, the corners of Bai Ye's mouth hooked a good-looking arc. He is fully integrated into the identity and is already comfortable handling the first patient. Of course, the most satisfying thing for Bai Ye is the system prompt that shows that the task has been completed. Congratulations to the host for completing the task and can claim the system reward at any time. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 7. Damn, this anchor, how do I feel like I am in a cold sweat watching the whip corpse. Seeing Bai Ye's commotion, the rolling barrage in the entire live broadcast room stopped for a while. After a while, someone sent out this barrage, breaking the strange quiet atmosphere in the live broadcast room. This sentence really speaks the hearts of netizens in the live broadcast room. Originally, infertility was a sensitive topic, and the anchor hit the nail on the head to let the patient die, which really left no way to live. But if you think about it carefully, for the sake of childbirth, the anchor's operation is also correct, but it is too upright. It's like a devil. Shame, the anchor shouldn't be a devil. It's outrageous. Don't say that. In fact, the anchor saved the couple. Youth is not capital, and if they are obsessed, their family will be dissolved. Don't use bananas and cucumbers. Isn't it enough for the girl to shake the toy? It needs to be more exciting. It's addictive. It's really addictive, but let me tell you, girls are more than 8 times than boys. Although the anchor's operation is to save the girl, girls are always thin-skinned, and I always feel that the anchor has some bad taste. Maybe the patient just now was too weird, and it shouldn't be in the future, and I have the impression that Chinese medicine is decent. As the barrage poured in like a tide, all kinds of gifts were also brushed up. And after sending away Xiatianation's couple, Bai Ye also had time to carefully check the rewards he had received. The host chooses the second treatment modality. It was detected that the host spoke up about the patient's bad habits in front of the patient's husband, maximizing the help of the patient to overcome the bad lifestyle, and the task was completed. Congratulations to the host for receiving the reward, God-level acupuncture. The host can accept the reward at any time. Accept the reward. Bai Ye immediately said silently in his heart. Then a glimmer of light appeared out of thin air that only he could see, and disappeared into his brain and hands. Not outdated. Bai Ye felt that a huge amount of acupuncture knowledge was floating in his mind. Acupuncture is a general term for acupuncture and moxibustion, which can help patients stretch the meridians, run qi and blood, resist diseases and evils, and protect the body. And that's the most basic. The God-level acupuncture rewarded by the system is even more powerful, with 361 acupuncture points in the human body, and various permutations and combinations. A variety of complex God-level acupuncture schemes can be derived. It's just that the biggest effect of the God-level acupuncture rewarded by the system this time is to strengthen the kidneys, and the others have to be explored by themselves. Meanwhile, Bai Ye feels that his hands are also more calm, which means that when performing acupuncture on patients, he can accurately stimulate the acupuncture points, and the so-called technique is exquisite. The reason why some Chinese medicine practitioners give acupuncture to patients makes patients feel uncomfortable is because the technique is not skilled enough and not fast enough, and acupuncture stimulates the receptors at the end of the human body after entering the skin, resulting in feelings such as soreness, numbness, and heavy swelling. And Baya is now giving acupuncture to patients, and under the God-level acupuncture, the above situation will never occur. He has reached the master level, and he has also comprehended moxibustion and flying needle treatment. It's a system reward, it's really powerful. I'd like to do the experiment right away. Baya opened his eyes, and his eyes were full of light. Traditional Chinese medicine is worthy of being broad and profound, and after comprehending the God-level acupuncture and supreme pulse control, Baya has a deeper understanding of the theoretical system of Chinese medicine. The 4 diagnoses of traditional Chinese medicine, the kung fu of looking, smelling, asking, and cutting, he has also made other improvements with the system rewards, such as looking. To put it simply, it is to be able to preliminarily judge the health of a person's 5 organs, especially the kidneys, through a person's appearance. It doesn't matter if the person wears a lot of makeup, because of the diagnosis method of looking at the comprehensive physiognomy in the clinic, you must know that there are many places that cannot be covered by makeup, such as the tongue, ears, hair, whites of the eyes, philtrum, etc. And smell, also smell the smell. There is a special profession called fart sniffer abroad, which can judge a person's physical health by smelling fart. This has the same effect as the smell of traditional Chinese medicine. In this regard, White Knight is also a beginner. After taking stock of the harvest, Baya looked at the mobile phone live broadcast room and saw the almost unanimous tone of netizens' comments. Said that he was too upright, and the sassy operation was too bad and funny. In this regard, Baya first thanked netizens for the gifts, and then said seriously, "The benevolence of the doctor, the politeness of the real old Chinese medicine is all an illusion, and in fact, the temper is more stinky than the other. If you really want to be good for the patient, you need to be upright, understand? Whether it is traditional Chinese medicine or Western medicine, there is no specific medicine for many diseases, and the most useful thing is human immunity. As for me, in order to maximize the patient's immunity, but it's just to tell the truth, haha." As soon as this remark came out, it attracted praise from netizens in the live broadcast room. But after a careful taste, I feel that something is wrong. After all, under the live broadcast camera, there is a nonsensical feeling of asking the patient to die. So in the end, this anchor still has a bad taste. And netizens are even more excited after discovering this. The anchor is handsome, professional, and upright, and can also watch fun, learn Chinese medicine and strange knowledge. So all of a sudden, the popularity of the live broadcast room spontaneously rose wildly. Seeing this, the corners of Baye's mouth hooked a good-looking arc. Looking at the rally, maybe it was really possible to win the popularity champion. However, my century-old Chinese medicine hall seems to be a little shabby, and with the explosion of popularity, I am afraid that it is not enough to deal with all kinds of strange patients. Baya walked down and turned around, and found that the small Chinese medicine hall was also complete. In particular, the medical qualification certificate is very good. Simply put, it can be engaged in business related to traditional Chinese medicine, such as acupuncture and massage, moxibustion cupping, orthopedic prescriptions, internal medicine prescriptions and so on. As long as it is related to infertility, it can be diagnosed and treated. However, the only regret is the lack of modern monitoring instruments, that is, Western medicine. Baya touched his chin. He thinks that in today's era, good Chinese medicine must be a fusion of Chinese and Western. After all, some causes of infertility can only be accurately found in Western medical diagnostic equipment. It seems that I still have to legally report to order some testing equipment. In addition, I lack a female assistant. All of this needs to be considered in the long run. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 8. At this time, the other side. In a villa in a community in the magic capital. On the White Simmons, G-Wave, who had finished the ceremony of Jogong, leaned on the pillow with a sleepy face, no longer caring about the women around him. And after a period of dullness, he picked up his mobile phone and watched the live broadcast, just swiping to the live broadcast room of the White Knight. Traditional Chinese medicine, it's so young, and you still look at infertility, but you can't look at the level. I also said that I want to find a good Chinese medicine doctor to see what is wrong with my female companion. G-Wavelength is the second generation of the rich, to be precise, the son of the nouveau riche. He does not have much education, and he has been pampered since he was a child. As he grew older, he was also urged to marry by his family. And because the family has money, the strategy adopted is eugenics, first childbearing and then love. To put it simply, after Ji Bakang and his girlfriend conceive a healthy baby, they plan to hold a wedding. I thought it was a very simple thing, but I didn't expect it to drag on for almost 3 years, let alone conceiving a healthy baby, and I didn't even make the woman pregnant. G-Wavelength felt that he was fine, although the test result was weak sperm, but every time after eating sperm tablets, the tadpole was qualified. Therefore, he blamed the reason for not being able to conceive to the woman. So in the past 3 years, he has changed girlfriends frequently, either each relationship does not last long, or he has several girlfriends at the same time. Anyway, his family has money, and those girlfriends are also here for money, so there is nothing to blame. But intriguingly, there has been no harvest for 3 years. For this reason, he also took each of his girlfriends to do a comprehensive examination, but it was still fruitless. This made him have nowhere to vent his worries, and he also developed the vice of making dumplings, a traditional craft. Gradually, G-Wavelength began to grow gray hair, and his teeth were a little loose. However, every time he went to check the tadpoles after eating the raw sperm tablets, the quality was acceptable, so he didn't take it seriously. It's just that lately, for some reason, he often feels dizzy, and his spirit is not particularly good. This made G-Wavelength a little confused, so after the gift of Jogong this time, he did not score twice, but entered the sage mode to watch the video. Just brushed to the live broadcast room of the White Knight. I was about to take my girlfriend to a Western doctor for a pregnancy checkup when I was about to take a break, but I hesitated. It is too troublesome for Western doctors to see a doctor, and it is a blood test and a film, and it has to wait for several days. If it's a serious illness, won't it be delayed by Western medicine? And Western medicine is not allowed to see infertility, otherwise why would I have changed several girlfriends and still not get pregnant? Just when he was worried, G-Wavelength suddenly thought of Chinese medicine. It is said that Chinese medicine is very powerful, and you can see what is wrong with it as soon as you get your hand, which is very convenient, and there is no need to wait at all. It's just, where to find a powerful old Chinese medicine doctor who sees infertility. At this moment, he happened to pay attention to the launch of the Champion of the Walk, and there happened to be a live broadcast room to watch Chinese medicine and infertility. The most coincidental thing is that this Chinese medicine doctor also happens to be in the magic capital. So, he clicked on the live broadcast room of Baya as soon as possible. Just looking at Baya, who was so young in the live broadcast room, he was suddenly disappointed. I'm too young, my hair hasn't grown, and I'm still a Chinese doctor, so I'm excited. I wanted to turn off the live broadcast and smoke a cigarette, and then fight with my girlfriend in bed. And at this moment, the first pair of patients of the White Knight appeared. Let's take a look, what if this guy really has any skills? With such an idea, G-Wavelength called his girlfriend to watch it together, and prepared to try it as a dead horse doctor. And then, a series of operations in the White Knight completely shocked G-Wavelength. Damn! There are so many things that can be seen in the pulse. This young man is too godly. Immediately, G-Wavelength was impressed by the operation of the White Knight. He immediately prepared to take his girlfriend to the Chinese medicine hall in Beijing to see a doctor, but was stopped by his girlfriend. Laoji, did you forget to go to the obstetrics and gynecology hospital of Moda University with me for a re-examination, and made an appointment with Dr. Lin Wanfen? Oh, I almost forgot, so I'll find Dr. Lin first, but I don't think I can find anything. G-Wavelength pursed his lips. He spent all the money. If he didn't go to Baye, he couldn't check anything and then go to Baye. Anyway, his family was not short of money. Come to think of this. He then rolled over and got out of bed, and because his body was so weak, he felt dizzy as soon as his feet hit the ground. He didn't realize that these symptoms were caused by his own indulgence and bad habits. And he didn't expect what kind of ruined reputation he would face after seeing the White Knight. After all, he took his girlfriends to see Baye this time, thinking about checking his girlfriend's pulses, but he didn't expect that everything was his own problem. The affiliated hospital of obstetrics and gynecology of Moda University. Seeing Baye's performance in the live broadcast room, Lin Wanfen, the attending physician of Infertility, was immediately quite relieved. This young man is good. TCM literacy is very good, upright and humble, and quite humorous. His understanding of infertility is also very profound. It has a warning effect on the majority of netizens. The show should vigorously promote such an anchor. How can such a talent become popular now? He can't be buried, he should go to a better place to shine. Then we came back to see more complex infertility issues. Lin Wanfen praised again and again, and had decided to introduce Baye to his mentor at Imperial Capital Medical University, Professor Ni Guanghai. Perhaps after observing that the White Knight was good, Ni Lao would be tempted and personally come to the door to collect apprentices. That's when it happened. A female intern in a big white coat walked into Lin Wanfen's office, and the reason was that G-Wavelength brought a different girlfriend again. Teacher Lin. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 9. Mr. Lin. Seeing that Mr. Lin was so happy, this intern doctor was also a little strange. Mr. Lin has always been known for his seriousness. Why did he suddenly smile so happily, and he still looked at his phone and smiled? She is usually reprimanded by Teacher Lin for this. Then, as her voice fell, something even more surprising happened. Teacher Lin was so immersed in his mobile phone that he didn't even hear his own voice. Although there are few patients in the hospital who are decorating and coming to see a doctor, it does not mean that there are no patients. How can you be immersed in playing with your phone? The female intern was puzzled. Mr. Lin. Mr. Lin. After screaming a few more times in succession, Lin Wanfen came back to her senses. Looking at the apprentice she brought in front of her, Lin Wanfen couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. She usually reprimands her interns for not being able to play with their mobile phones for nothing, but she is fascinated by it, which is really embarrassing. What's wrong? I just learned that there is a program that is reflecting the topic of infertility, and there happens to be a live broadcast of Chinese medicine. I see if there is an opportunity to spread the word about infertility. Saying that, Lin Wanfen still commented with an appreciative look. This anchor Baye, don't look at it as a young boy, whether it is Chinese medicine literacy or understanding of infertility, it is very profound. Oh, by the way, his pulse level is very good. You are also studying Chinese medicine, you can take a look and learn. Hear this explanation. The female intern froze. What kind of live broadcast can actually make Mr. Lin, who is an associate senior TCM physician, comment like this? She subconsciously glanced at Lin Wanfen's mobile phone live broadcast room. Just in an instant, she felt the high-value crit of Baye. Immediately, a trace of doubt immediately rose in my heart. Does I really understand Chinese medicine at such a young age? Even if he understands Chinese medicine, does he really understand the female physiological structure from the perspective of Chinese medicine? After a while, she was soon impressed by Bai Ye's medical skills. By the way, what's the matter? Lin Wanfen looked at the other party who was almost drooling at the corner of her mouth and asked, "Don't look at it and forget about business." "Mr. Lin, it was the wavelength of the quarter who came to get the examination report, and you are responsible for this patient," the intern female doctor said, but her eyes did not take her eyes off the mobile phone live broadcast room. When Lin Wanfen heard this, she immediately came back to her senses. It's hard not to remember the name G wavelength. This rich second-generation young man has been infertile with her in the past 2 years, and he has brought no less than 10 girlfriends to check. In the end, no substantive problems were detected. Therefore, she very implicitly proposed to let the quaint wavelength do a comprehensive examination, but the result was not much of a problem. That's pretty mysterious. So he prescribed him the ordinary medicine for spermativity, and comforted him that it was normal if he didn't get pregnant for half a year or a year. It's just that. Seeing G wavelength this time, Lin Wanfen obviously felt that he had changed a lot, and he was even more haggard, as if he had aged a lot. She had some vague guesses and decided not to prescribe him any more semen tablets, so as not to overdraw her body. G wavelength, your lover's sub-health is not serious, just keep your mood happy. In addition, there is no genetic rejection between you tadpoles and egg sisters. I haven't been pregnant for so long, don't be discouraged, maybe fate hasn't arrived. Hearing what Dr. Lin Wanfen said, G wavelength was stunned. Before he came, he specifically checked the difference between Chinese medicine and Western medicine, and said on the internet that many potential diseases could not be detected by Western medicine at all, and the surface was normal, but in fact there were a lot of problems. He looked at the data on his girlfriend's inspection report, and then thought that he had not won the bid for so long, and his mind confirmed this idea even more. It seems that it is time to change Chinese medicine and take a look. Thinking of this, G wavelength planned to turn around and take his girlfriend to the Chinese medicine hall in the White Night. At this moment, his girlfriend spoke, "Lao Ji, don't check it at all, just do a test tube." Hearing his girlfriend's eager words, G wavelength immediately shook his head. He felt that his girlfriend's hidden dangers had not been investigated, and it was easy to spend money rashly on the risk of doing test tubes. And he did IVF at such a young age. Where did he put his face? Besides, the baby born by IVF will definitely be different from natural childbirth, and he can't help it. And his girlfriend proposed this, naturally wanting to borrow the child as soon as possible to bind the interests of the G family. She knows Ji Ba Came too well, and if her investment in her for a long time doesn't work, she will soon find a new love. Thinking of this, she pursed her lips and continued to speak. Then why don't we change hospitals and go to the Imperial Capital Tertiary Specialized Hospital? You don't have to rush this matter. Hearing this, G wavelength waved his hand, and then looked at Lin Wanfen. Dr. Lin, prescribe me some more spermatogenic medicine. Wait a minute. Hearing this, Lin Wanfen immediately interrupted him, and then concluded from G wavelength's face that he was very weak now and might have been overdrawn. And how serious it is, I'm afraid only experienced old Chinese medicine doctors who can take the pulse can judge. She has to write a medical report here, and she can't analyze anything. I couldn't help but think of the White Night. So he said, G wavelength, how anxious you are to have a baby, I recommend you to go to the Bai Chinese medicine hall near here first. The doctor's name is Bai Ye, listen to his opinion, and I will consider whether to prescribe spermatogenic tablets for you. How? Hearing Dr. Lin say this, G wavelength was stunned. Isn't it a coincidence? I'm looking for Dr. White Knight. It seems that Dr. Bai Ye also has a good reputation, and even the senior physician of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology affiliated to Moda University recommends Baya, so his judgment will definitely not be wrong. It is more convenient to see Chinese medicine than Western medicine, and you can bring your girlfriends with you. After seeing Ji Bakame leave, Lin Wanfen came back to her senses, picked up the phone, and called her mentor. She wants to introduce the live broadcast room of White Night to her Chinese medicine teacher. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 10. Imperial Capital Medical University. An old man with gray hair who perfectly fits the image of an old Chinese medicine doctor in people's minds is writing a report. Sigh as he writes. He is Ni Guanghai, Lin Wanfen's mentor, who is not only a professor of traditional Chinese medicine at Imperial Medical University, but also a leading figure in today's Chinese medicine industry. At the same time, he also serves as the executive secretary of the family planning office of a district. In recent years, the number of births in the country has been declining year after year, and the country has paid close attention to childbirth. The cry for fewer or no children is high among the masses, which is naturally not good for the country, but it is understandable for the individual. These are not his concerns. He is more anxious that many couples now want to have children, but there are various infertility problems, and Western medicine is still overstretched in this regard. After some research, he found that a major problem is that many young people have misunderstandings in their thinking, have been poisoned by Western ideology, and have indulged in excessive desires. In particular, some men still think that the substances that make up tadpoles are ordinary proteins, which is considered to be without common sense in traditional Chinese medicine. Thus they do not know restraint and wantonly reward and waste. This is a major cause of male infertility. So, he is worried about how to promote this aspect of TCM culture to the society, and hopes that young people will not go astray. At the same time, I also hope that young people who have gone astray can learn the culture of Chinese medicine and adjust it through the Chinese medicine program. It's a big puzzle. For this reason, he thought about asking some old guys who studied Chinese medicine to be on the show together, but he was quickly vetoed. Because the old guys think they're old and have a gap with the young people. Even if you are on the show, you should arrange for the young to go up. Of course, Ni Guanghai knows this, but the study of Chinese medicine is obscure, and it takes 20 or 30 years to master it. Unless you are a son of Chinese medicine or a family of Chinese medicine, it is impossible to be proficient in Chinese medicine theories and various therapies before the age of 30, and at the same time you must understand infertility. It's just too hard. But this matter is imminent. Because he found that many unscrupulous doctors on the internet are still advocating Western medicine, treating men and women as pleasure. As a result, many young people are infected with various vices, suffer from asthenospermia and are unable to have children, and it is not easy to change if you want to change it. After all, it has affected the brain structure. Just like quitting smoking, if you don't understand the principle of dopamine, you can't understand the sensitization reaction and desensitization reaction, so you fall into a strange circle. But he remembered that the ancient books of Chinese medicine recorded an acupuncture technique called Fihi Shen acupuncture, which could not only restore the patient's kidney qi, but also allow the patient to achieve a state of fullness and no lust in the short term. It's a pity that this acupuncture technique is said to have become extinct. This is related to the excessive suppression of traditional Chinese medicine in recent years, which has led to many traditional Chinese medicine families beginning to hide their clumsiness and restrain their etch. Come to think of this. Ni Guanghai sighed deeply again. At this moment, Lin Wanfen's phone called. The outside call was supposed to be made to the secretary first, but Lin Wanfen was one of his favorite disciples, and they often contacted each other by phone. Xiaolin, I'm busy, let's talk about it later. Teacher Ni, you have made me pay attention to the little genius who is looking for a family of traditional Chinese medicine. I have eyebrows." Hearing that her teacher was busy, Lin Wanfan hurriedly explained her intentions. "Oh," Ni Guanghai just raised his eyebrows slightly. Recently, he has heard too many news and reports of TCM geniuses, many of which are false or scripted. And many of them don't even know basic acupuncture, and they show off everywhere when they learn to take a pulse. Feeling the coldness of her teacher's attitude, Lin Wanfan felt a little surprised, but her teacher didn't hang up the phone, so she knew that she was waiting for her to explain. She remembered that her teacher wanted to find young people from a family of Chinese medicine to accept apprentices, firstly to inherit his mantle, and secondly, to communicate with each other to carry forward Chinese medicine. After all, many ancient methods of Chinese medicine were recorded in some ancient books of the family or were lost overseas. Thinking of this, Lin Wanfan hurriedly spoke. "Teacher Ni, his name is Bai Ye, he is an anchor in the show Xing Xing Champion, and his profession is a traditional Chinese medicine doctor specializing in the treatment of infertility." Hearing the words of his proud disciple, Ni Guanghai's face was pale, and a trace of joy and a trace of hesitation flashed in his eyes. Naturally, the 6 princesses of Yangtai are also concerned about infertility, and they have also specially found traditional Chinese medicine to treat them. The hesitation was to hear the disciple say that Bai Ye is young. How small should this be? It won't just turn 30, it will be too young. "Okay, I see, I'll take care of it. Teacher Ni, the sooner you pay attention, the more you will gain." When the words fell, the corners of Ni Guanghai's mouth hooked. He could be so optimistic about Xiao Linzi, it seemed that Bai Ye was beaten twice. Since there is no hurry to write a report, it is better to brush up on the live broadcast by yourself. What if Bai Ye is really a genius of Chinese medicine? Thinking of this, Ni Guanghai ordered and hung up the phone, then opened the live broadcast room and searched for the live broadcast of the White Knight. And as soon as he saw the White Knight, Ni Guanghai's whole heart chuckled. "I'm too young, I haven't graduated from college yet. He, if this little guy is a genius in Chinese medicine, unless he starts to learn Chinese medicine from his mother's womb." Ni Guanghai shook his head in disappointment, and was about to close the live broadcast. At this time, he saw several patients in the Chinese medicine hall in the White Knight. Then the fingers smacked. "Forget it, let's take another look. After all, it was recommended by Xiao Linzi, maybe there are 2 hits." Magic City. Bai's Traditional Chinese Medicine Museum. Bai Ye was interacting with netizens in the live broadcast room, and after a while, several young and beautiful figures walked in at the door. They were 1 man and 3 women. The man wears gold and silver, and he looks like he is golden, but he has some white hair on his sideburns, which looks a little empty. The 3 young girls are dressed up very stylishly, and judging from their eye contact with each other, the relationship seems to be quite complicated. This man and 3 women, it is G Wavelength who brought the 3 girlfriends he is dating to show them infertility.